Welcome to InterviewPro. In this video, let's talk about how to create an event in Angular. I have the code from our previous videos where we learned about attribute binding and interpolation. This is how the UI looks like. All this information is coming from an object called channel, which we have defined in the TS file here. So channel has properties called title, subtitle, logo src, which are bound to this UI using interpolation and using attribute binding. So now let's add some more functionality to this UI. When I click on subscribe, the text has to update to unsubscribe because the user is already subscribed. When it is unsubscribed and the user clicks on it again, it has to come back to the text subscribe. To achieve this, let's create a property called isSubscribed. This is a Boolean property initialized with value false. Using this property, let's update the text of the button. If you go to this button, use the interpolation using this property and ternary operator. If the subscribed value is true, that means user has already subscribed. The text should display unsubscribed. If it's false, then the user is not subscribed yet. So display the text subscribe. Let's go back to the UI. Initially, the value is false. So we see the text subscribe. Now, if I click on this, I have to see the text unsubscribe. In order to do that, we have to bind a on-click event to this button. Usually in HTML events, we have an event called on-click. But in Angular, we can simply say click wrapped with open and closed parentheses. This indicates that this is an event. So to this event, you have to bind a method. Let's quickly create a method called onSubscribeClick. This is how you bind the method to an event in Angular. So let's define this method now. On-click subscribe. What is the expected functionality by this on-click event? When we click on a button, it has to toggle between these two texts, subscribed or unsubscribed. And what are these texts dependent on? A subscribe property, right? So I'll take this property, I'll simply toggle it. If it is true, I'll switch it to false. If it is false, I'll make it true. Let's save HTML file as well. Go back to the UI. Initially, this is subscribe. If I click on it, the user has subscribed and the button text is updated to unsubscribe. If I click it again, it will go back to subscribe. Let's see what's happening by debugging this method. I'll go to DevTools and go to source. If you don't see the app component.ts, just press Ctrl P and type in the name of the component. In my case, I have this code in app component.ts. So this is my method and I have a debug pointer here. I'll click on this button. Initially, this method, this property isSubscribed has a value false. Now I'll go to the next line. This is updated to true. If I continue, since this is true, in the ternary operator, we specified that the text has to be updated to unsubscribe when isSubscribed is true. That's why we see this button text unsubscribe. If I click it back, it will be going back to subscribe. We can pass parameters to this method. For example, I'll pass the object channel. It's nothing but the same object that we are using here. And here I'll simply console log just to see if we received the data or not. I'll name this parameter data here of type any. Just console log this. Go back to UI and inspect. Let me disable the debugger. Go back to console. I'll click on subscribe and I see the channel object logged in the console. If you want to get the details of the type of event that is being triggered on this method, you can use a property called $event. So this will give us the information about the event. I'm removing the data now. I'll use only event. You can pass any number of parameters, but I just want to show you how the event looks like. So go back to the UI, click on subscribe. Now we have a pointer event. Since I used mouse to click on the button, I have the pointer event. If you look at this object, this event type is click because I clicked on it. If you have an input and you have a focus event, then this event would have shown type as focus. So this way you can get information about the event triggered on this button using $event. So this is how you can use events in Angular. I hope the concept is clear. Please like, share and subscribe to InterviewPro. Thank you.